Ms. Glazer, let me start with you first if I can. In your testimony, you recommended that Congress urge the executive branch to impose consequences on China when they violate international laws and norms. How do you propose the administration penalize China or punish China or whatever the proper verb would be for violating international laws, such as its decision to unilaterally impose an air defense identification zone, for example?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for your very important question. I think that the administration took one very important step, and that was flying our B-52s through that zone, not recognizing the zone. I think we should be doing more. The United States and Japan, for example, could conduct joint flights through that zone. In other words, the message is that China's behavior threatens the security of its neighbors, and therefore there is a stepped-up military response. So there should be, I think, greater cooperation. I would also like to see the United States continue to encourage greater military cooperation among Japan and South Korea and the United States, which is ongoing and I think has been somewhat complicated by some of the political decisions recently made in Japan by Prime Minister Abe in his visit to the Yasukuni Shrine. But I think that ultimately these are very, very important. In other cases, I think that the United States can adopt targeted sanctions or responses to Chinese behavior. For example, in the cyber area, it has been widely discussed how the United States might adopt some very targeted sanctions that are aimed at responding to China's use of cyber to steal intellectual property, commercial proprietary information. So those are some of the examples that I would give. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Dutton, let me turn to you next, if I can. You mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. In your testimony, you said that unless current trends in the region change, there is no reason to believe that China's campaign will stop short of achieving its aims, which are gaining the upper hand on regional security, redeveloping the regional order, and gaining control of maritime resources. You also said that the U.S. should seek to develop a new type great power relationship with China. Excuse me. What does such a relationship look like? And in terms of this trend China is creating, I believe it's in our interest to slow that trend down and, in fact, to stop it. How do you also suggest that we accomplish that?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. First, I'd like to say that U.S. and regional strategies have largely been reactive. In other words, China has had and maintained the initiative. I think we need to restore the initiative in this process by thinking about, rather than what I'll call negative objectives, in other words, prevent bad things from happening, let's have a positive objective, which is to create a region that is fully integrated into the global system and stable at the same time. So part of what I was articulating, since I submitted the testimony, I thought more about your question, and actually in my oral comments made the point that we need to expect China to be a responsible leading power, not just a, frankly, self-interested regional leading power, right? We need to expect them to do more for the system and to support the system because of the benefits that they receive from it. What that means is, in terms of the consequences that my colleague, Ms. Glazer, is talking about, we need to think about consequences that broaden the horizon of options. In other words, if we just respond in kind, if China provokes, we respond with a similar kind of action, then we're still being reactive. So we need to think more broadly about the type of responses. So if China does something in the security field, well, maybe we need an economic or political reaction to it, not just a security reaction, in ways that imposes a cost on China that China would prefer not to have to pay. For instance, China was invited to join the Arctic Council recently. That's a benefit that China has received. There are other similar kinds of things that China would like to receive. Well, we need to impose costs when China fails to act in in ways that benefit and support the system. We're inviting them to share responsible leadership into the system. Now we need to expect them to maintain proper leadership over the system's rules, norms, principles, and laws.
Okay. Thank you very much. My time has expired. The gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Courtney, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for organizing this hearing.